So today we're going to be talking about one-shot headshots in Rainbow Six Siege, and this has been such a hugely debated topic and thing of controversy recently that I thought I'd just pitch in my ideas and what I feel about the current system, and of course look at some of the problems that people have been talking about. So for those of you who don't know, at the moment Rainbow Six Siege has a damage model in-game which dictates that every bullet has a one-shot headshot. It doesn't matter what caliber weapon you're using, it doesn't matter whether it's gone through a surface when you fired the shot, so I could shoot you through a wall and land a headshot. And it's been annoying a few people, most particularly around certain areas in which the one-shot headshot is supposedly exploited. And today I thought I'd go through those individual problems and look at what they are, and then I'd give you guys my opinion on the overall situation with one-shot headshots, which I imagine is probably going to be a weird opinion to some, and I think some, if not quite a few people, will probably agree with my stance on the one-shot headshot. So, first and foremost, let's have a look at what people complain about. So, firstly, regardless of your caliber of weapon, a headshot will always be a one-shot kill. So, even if you're using something like a 9mm pistol, in comparison to something per se, a sniper rifle or an assault rifle, regardless of what kind of gun you're using, a headshot will always be a headshot. And some people have stated that, well, that isn't fair because it does belittle some weapons, or perhaps some weapons just lose out on the simple basis that their statistics in terms of fire rate and recoil do not justify them being usable, because if everybody can get a one-shot headshot, then surely just use something which has less recoil and is more accurate. Secondly, people complain that even if you've been shot through a wall and it hits you in the head, it is still a one-shot headshot. Again, this is regardless of the caliber of weapon, so if I shot a 9mm pistol through a wall and happened to somehow hit you in the head, then it would still be a one-shot headshot kill. 3. Some high rate of fire weapons and sort of spray and pray tactics tend to get lucky with headshots. Some people say that, for example, if I was in a one-on-one situation with somebody on the opposite team and they just sprayed with their gun, it's very likely that they could potentially get a headshot over me, just out of the pure basis that they've managed to get lucky and just go for it. And I'm sure there's been lots of implications where you guys have been playing the game, you've sprayed, and you've somehow managed to get a headshot. It's happened to me as well. I'm not going to deny it's something that doesn't happen. And finally, due to some networking issues, people who peek around corners sometimes have advantages in general when playing Rainbow Six Siege. So sometimes you may have had it, and this has happened to me as well, where somebody has shot you around a corner before you can even see them. And this has happened before. I've seen it where I'm standing on top of a staircase, peeking down it, somebody has shot me in the head, and I haven't been able to see a thing, but according to the kill camera, they were, 3 meters around the corner, and I should have been easily be able to visibly see them. And that is something which does exist in the game. So, let's have an address of some of these problems one by one. The first problem of caliber of weapon. Now, I personally don't believe this should change. In my opinion, a 9mm bullet is going to kill you, regardless if you're 100 meters away or directly in front of him. And I think lots of people fail to realize that the distances in Rainbow Six Siege are really short. Like, you'll be lucky to be 20-30 meters away from somebody at best when you're shooting at them, and that's even in the longest distance scenarios. So personally, I don't believe that should change. However, I do believe some of the submachine gun bullets, which have a complete ridiculous rapid fire and sometimes still manage to one-bang people from distance, perhaps that could be looked into. But in terms of caliber of bullets, I don't think there should be a situation where that should dictate whether or not it's a one-shot headshot. And I think this kind of links into the fact that I just like the harshness of Rainbow Six Siege. Now, this is something a lot of people probably may not agree with, but I found it more and more as I started playing games like Insurgency and Squad and, all of these shooters where you're just punished, really, for, the way you move around the map and how you play, and most of the time 3 or 4 bullets is going to take you down. And I actually appreciate that. I think it's great to see in a mainstream game like Rainbow Six Siege that a one-shot headshot thing is possible. I don't think you see it enough in games, and I'm going to expand a bit more on why I feel like the one-shot headshot isn't much of a problem as I go through the rest of these. The second problem, even when you've been shot through a wall, it hits you in the head and it's still a one-shot headshot. Now, I think there's two capacities in which this may need to be looked at. First of all, I don't think lower caliber weapons who shoot through walls should be able to one-shot headshot you. So for example, if you fire a pistol through a wall and then it hits you in the head, I think it should take away most of your health, but perhaps maybe not kill you, but higher caliber weapons definitely. But I generally want to ask people, like, how many times have you shot through a wall and gotten a headshot? Because I haven't done that a lot. In fact, I don't ever recall doing that. I don't think I've ever actually gotten a headshot through a wall. If somebody's done that, that's purely because they've thrown a drone in your room. They've seen you've camped in a corner or you're holed up in some position. They managed to accurately predict where your face is going to be. So I don't think that's something which is too concerning with high caliber weapons, but perhaps maybe with the lower caliber weapons. 3. Some high rate of fire weapons seem to spray and pray and get lucky with their headshots. Yeah, I can see how that's a problem at the moment, but at the same time, some of the slower fire rate of weapons, so for example the G36C, it's only got 700. There are some slower ones as well. You know, I personally use the L85 and the AR33. In my opinion, sure, you can spray and pray, but there's going to be different situations and scenarios which dictate how you're actually shooting at somebody. So if I'm turning a corner and there's a guy standing right in front of me and we're facing each other, I'm going to go for body shots and maybe I might get him in the head. But that's just purely on the basis of a wider surface body that I can shoot at. You know, I'm probably going to panic, so, you know, there's the chance of me being particularly accurate isn't going to happen. And I think a lot of people need to bear in mind that these spray and pray situations happen because of the kind of close quarters combat you're involved with. And a lot of the time, sure, SMGs might come out on top, but somebody might be packing a shotgun and they might come out on top. And I think people just need to bear in mind that you're getting into these engagements. You're the person who's in control of whether or not you're facing somebody from 1 meter away or 100 meters away. And that's down to you. That's how you've played the game. That's how you've moved through the map. That is dictated that you're in a position where you have a lower fire rate weapon, somebody has a higher fire rate weapon, and therefore they are just more likely to kill you. That's just how it is. You know, regardless if it's a headshot or not, somebody with a higher fire rate weapon is going to kill you more likely at close quarters than further away, and that's dictated by recoil as well. And maybe this is a differentiation between PC and console, because I have played on both, but I've noticed that on console, that holds firm. You know, if I'm further away with a slow fire rate weapon, I'm going to kill somebody who is using, per se, smoke, who's got the FMG9 or FM9, which is a really high fire rate weapon. That's just how the game works. 4. Due to some networking issues, people who peek around corners sometimes have an advantage on you. Now, I feel like, yes, this is true, and this is something that's only going to improve over time as they improve their general networking situations. But truth be told, I feel like, again, this is another scenario where you have dictated that you're in a position where somebody is going to kill you because they have the drop on you. They have the ultimate drop on you. Now, when I play a game of Siege and somebody is peeking, I'm very much aware of this. This normally happens in the defending rooms. If somebody is peeking around a corner in a defending room and they have eyes on a doorway, I'm not going to go through that doorway. There's no chance I'm going to go through that doorway. I'll throw a drone in, I'll find out what the hell they're doing. And if people are peeking, there's not a chance in holy hell I'm going through that doorway. I will lay down charges on external parts of the room to distract them and make them look at other doorways, get an error of kind of doubt in the room, and then make my move. That's what I tend to do. I take my time, I move slow, I use distance to give myself the advantage, and just put doubt into the minds of the opponents. And you guys can see this when I'm playing games. I do decoys, I do things like that, so I'm never in a position where somebody's peeking me and aiming for my head. And of course, the minute I go around that corner, he's going to kill me because he has logically made that defensive position available to him. So yeah, there are some circumstances, I do believe, where the one-shot headshot should change, and, you know, maybe through walls. But in my honest opinion, I actually think it's such a good thing to have in the game. I think it's so great to have a one-shot headshot in Rainbow Six Siege, because it's a harsh environment, and Rainbow Six Siege is supposed to punish you for not being situationally aware and not getting yourself into engagements that you want to get involved in. Now, I do this all the time. You guys can see it in my Road to Max Rank videos. I set up the engagement based on what weapon I'm using and what I know the enemy team is going to do. You'll see it. There are examples where I'm using a close quarters weapon So I immediately rush players, I get into their hallways, I take them on 1v1 in close quarters situations, because I have the high rate of fire and I have the ability to take them on. And there's other examples where I will take my time, I'll sit back with an ACOG sight on my G36C, I will break a window, and I will play it slow, and I will use my distance to my advantage, and I will capitalize on enemy mistakes. So I keep doing things like that. And I really don't think that the one-shot headshot is actually that important in Rainbow Six Siege. I don't think it has that much of an application in the game. I feel like Rainbow Six Siege is so much more than just aiming and shooting, that people need to realize that and appreciate it. Now, Rainbow Six Siege, to me, I actually don't think the shooting is that important. I look at so many different aspects of the game before I even think about taking a shot on somebody. I use my drone cameras, I listen, I use the audio to work out where people could be, what their movements are, where they're going to do it. And again, plenty of examples in the Road to Max Rank series if you've watched any of those. You know, I will capitalize on mistakes of opponents running around upstairs. I will get into engagements with enemies because I've made that possible. I will shoot out a window with my Ash grenade launcher, 50 meters away, and use my ACOG G36C combo to take on opponents with short range weapons because therefore I have the advantage. I don't think Rainbow Six Siege should get rid of the one-shot headshot. I think it's perfect the way it is. There are loads of examples where things can just get really messy and, it can go down to the wire and you can force engagements that will let you get headshots and you will win. But I think the harshness of Rainbow Six Siege makes it a really good game, and I think that should definitely stay in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, I know some people will say, well, but it's not skillful, it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that. And sure, maybe that's how it is, maybe that is how it is for you. But even though I play games like Battlefield, even though I play games which don't have that much of a harsh environment around them, I don't want Rainbow Six Siege to become one of those games. I don't want it to be a game where, there's 2-minute long engagements of you shooting at each other because, you've shot a guy and then he's ducked out around a corner and you haven't killed him with half your mag. You have to use your whole magazine to try and take him down. I want it to be a game where I can go bang, one bullet, fuck you, because I've gotten into a position where I'm capable of doing that, where I've, perhaps used a distraction, or I've used just general good gameplay to make sure I'm in a position of advantage when I'm facing an opponent. And I think Rainbow Six Siege is about that more than it is about shooting and accuracy and things like that and how you play. I think it's more about your situational awareness than your gunplay. I think gunplay is just something that you should just basically have. It's not something you have to be particularly skillful with in Rainbow Six Siege, in my opinion. It's more about getting into the right situations to utilize your gunplay to the maximum effectiveness that I think is really good. So ultimately, I think that's what it is for me. I think I strongly support the one-shot headshot. I think it should stay. I think it makes the game harsh. And I also think it adds tension to Rainbow Six Siege, which is what makes the game interesting. I haven't stopped playing Siege because regardless of the same rounds and same modes I play, I'm like, holy shit, this round was really harsh, it was really tense, I was really enjoying that ranked game. And that's what keeps me coming back playing. And I think people should appreciate that a bit more and appreciate things like situational awareness and audio and other external factors of Siege that make the shooting less important that I don't think are really recognized as much. So guys, it's been me, TheTacticalBrit. I hope you guys have some opinions on the one-shot headshot. Now, I think it's totally cool if you don't like it. There's going to be examples of people who think that perhaps it could change, and I totally agree with that. There are some circumstances that it needs to be looked at, but for me, there's just things that don't need to change. I think it's a really enjoyable environment at the moment, and personally, don't fix what ain't broke, I mean, it happens, of course, people will get one-shot headshots. But I will also get one-shot headshots. The bullshit balances itself out sometimes, and I think that can actually be pretty fun sometimes. Look at how many people play FIFA, for God's sake. So, as always, fellas, it's been me, TheTacticalBrit. Leave a like down in the comment section. Just do your stuff. Let's talk about this entire topic. I think it's something pretty interesting to discuss as a group of people. And as always, thank you for watching. Let me know how you feel down below, and I'll see you again soon in another video.